Welcome to my channel. Let me ask you something very simple but very important. Have you ever noticed that the more available you are for people, the less they seem to value you? You answer messages quickly, you listen to everyone's problems, you explain yourself again and again, you try to keep peace, you try to be kind, you try to be understanding, and still you feel tired. Still, you feel invisible. Still, something feels wrong inside. Now ask yourself this question. What if the problem is not that you care too much, but that you are always available? What if the moment you stop reacting to everything, stop explaining yourself, stop being present for everyone all the time, everything around you starts to change? What if silence is not weakness, but power? What if not answering immediately makes people see you differently? What if stepping back, instead of moving closer, gives you control you never knew you had? Most people are taught to react fast, to speak fast, to fix everything fast, but no one teaches us the power of pause. No one teaches us what happens when you choose not to respond, when you choose space instead of emotion, when you choose yourself instead of pleasing others. This video is not about becoming cold or rude. It is not about pushing people away. It is about understanding something very deep and very simple at the same time. When you stop being available all the time, everything changes. People change. Relationships change. And most importantly, you change. By the end of this video, you will see your reactions, your silence, and your energy in a completely new way. So stay with me, because if you have ever felt drained, misunderstood, or taken for granted, this message is for you. Chapter 1. Being always available sounds like a good thing. At least, that is what we are taught. From a young age, many of us learn that a good person is someone who is always there, someone who replies fast, someone who listens, someone who helps, someone who says yes, someone who does not complain, someone who does not disappear. And because of this teaching, we grow up believing that our value depends on how available we are to others. But let us slow down and really look at what being too available actually means, because most people are doing it every day without even noticing. Emotional availability is not just about being kind. It is about how quickly you react. It is about how easily people can reach you. It is about how often you put other people's needs before your own. Think about your daily life. You wake up and you check your phone. Messages are waiting. Even if you feel tired, you reply. Even if you do not feel like talking, you reply. Someone asks for help. You say yes, even when you are already exhausted. Someone asks a question that makes you uncomfortable. You explain yourself instead of protecting your silence. Someone upsets you. You react immediately instead of pausing. This feels normal to you. It feels polite. It feels responsible. But is it really healthy? Always replying fast is one of the clearest signs of being too available. Many people feel anxious when they do not reply immediately. They worry. They think, what if they get upset? What if they think I don't care? What if they leave? So they answer right away, even when their body and mind are asking for rest. Over time, this creates a habit. You no longer ask yourself if you want to reply. You just do it. And slowly, you teach others that you are always reachable, always open, always ready. But what you are really doing is training yourself to ignore your own needs. Always saying yes is another sign. You say yes to plans you do not enjoy. You say yes to requests that drain you. You say yes to conversations that make you feel small. You say yes because saying no feels dangerous. Saying no feels like rejection. Saying no feels like you might lose something. So you keep saying yes, and you tell yourself that you are being kind. But deep inside, something hurts. Deep inside, you feel tired. Deep inside, you feel like you are disappearing. Always explaining yourself is also part of being too available. You explain why you are busy. You explain why you feel the way you feel. You explain your choices. You explain your silence. You explain your boundaries even when you do not owe anyone an explanation. This happens because you are afraid of being misunderstood. You want people to see you as good, as reasonable, as caring. So you keep talking, keep justifying, keep defending. But every explanation takes energy. And most of the time, it does not even change how the other person sees you. Always being there for everyone sounds noble, but it comes at a cost. When you are always there for others, who is there for you? Many people grow up in families where love is conditional. Love comes when you behave well. Love comes when you help. Love comes when you are useful. This creates people pleasers. People who believe that they must earn love by being available, by being needed, by being important to others. And this belief stays with them into adulthood. Society also plays a big role. We are told that good people are selfless, that strong people do not need rest, that caring people always show up. Movies, books, and even social media praise those who sacrifice themselves for others. But no one talks about the cost of this behavior. No one talks about the emotional exhaustion. No one talks about the quiet sadness. No one talks about the loss of identity that happens when you are always available to everyone except yourself. Being available feels safe because it gives you control, or at least the illusion of control. You think, if I am always there, people will not leave. You think, if I respond quickly, they will like me. You think, if I explain myself, they will understand me. But this safety is fragile. It depends on other people's reactions. And that means your peace is no longer in your hands. It is in theirs. This is where the emotional spike happens, the moment that might feel uncomfortable to hear. Being too available is not always kindness. Sometimes it is self-abandonment. It is leaving yourself behind to keep others close. It is choosing comfort now over respect later. It is confusing love with usefulness. And when you do this for a long time, something inside you starts to fade. You feel tired, but rest does not help. You feel empty, but you do not know why. You feel confused, even though you are doing everything right. If you are listening carefully, you might be thinking, I do this every day. And that realization is powerful, because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You begin to notice how much energy you give away. You begin to notice how little you keep for yourself. And a new question appears, a very important one. Where does all this energy go? Why do we feel so drained after simple conversations? Why do we feel empty even when we are surrounded by people? These questions lead us to the next part of this journey, because understanding availability is only the first step. Next, we need to understand energy, how it moves, how it is lost, and how your reactions might be costing you more than you realize. Chapter 2. To understand why you feel tired all the time, we need to talk about energy, not a complicated idea, not a scientific one, just a very simple truth. Your energy is limited. You do not have endless emotional fuel. You do not wake up every day with an infinite supply of strength, patience, and calm. Think of your energy like the battery in your phone. When it is full, everything works well. The screen is bright. The phone is fast. But if you keep using it all day without charging it, it becomes slow. It overheats. It shuts down. And the same thing happens to you. Every reaction costs energy. This is something most people never think about. You believe that reacting is natural, automatic, even harmless. Someone says something rude. You react. Someone misunderstands you. You explain. Someone criticizes you. You defend yourself. Someone sends a message. You answer immediately. One reaction feels small, but reactions add up. They drain you slowly, quietly, without asking permission. Think about arguing. An argument does not end when the conversation ends. It continues in your head. You replay the words. You imagine what you should have said. You think about how unfair it was. You think about it while walking, while eating, while trying to sleep. That is energy being used again and again for the same moment. The event is over, but your mind keeps it alive. This is one of the biggest reasons people feel emotionally exhausted. Explaining yourself also costs energy. When you explain, you are trying to control how others see you. You want to be understood. You want to be seen as good, fair, reasonable. But many times, people are not listening to understand. They are listening to react. So you explain again and again and again. Each explanation takes a little more from you, and often nothing changes. Defending yourself is similar. When you feel attacked, your body goes into protection mode. Your heart beats faster. Your thoughts race. You search for words. This is not just mental. It is physical. Your body uses energy to protect you. And when this happens often, your system never truly rests. You live in a state of tension, even when nothing is happening. Now think about how often you replay conversations in your mind. Maybe it happens at night. You lie in bed and suddenly remember something someone said, or something you said, or something you did not say. Your body is tired, but your mind is active. This is energy leaking. You are spending fuel on moments that no longer exist. And because you do not see this energy, you think it is free. But it is not. This is emotional exhaustion, not because you are weak, not because you cannot handle life, but because your energy is misused. You give it away without noticing. And when your energy is low, you become vulnerable. A phone with low battery cannot protect itself. A person with low energy cannot protect their boundaries. They react more. They explain more. They get hurt more easily. And this creates a dangerous cycle. Reactive people are easy to manipulate. This may sound harsh, but it is true. When someone knows that you always react, they can predict you. They know which words will hurt you, which tone will make you explain yourself, which behavior will make you chase. They press a button and you respond, not because you want to, but because your system is trained to react. Here is a very important difference that can change your life. Reacting is automatic. Responding is conscious. Reacting happens fast. Responding takes a pause. Reacting comes from emotion. Responding comes from awareness. When you react, you lose control. When you respond, you choose. And choice is power. Silence is one of the strongest ways to save energy. Silence does not mean you agree. Silence does not mean you are weak. Silence means you are not giving your energy to something that does not deserve it. When you do not react, your energy stays with you. When you do not explain, your energy stays with you. When you choose not to engage, your system rests. Imagine a cup of water. Every reaction is a small hole in the cup. At first, you do not notice the water leaving, but over time the cup becomes empty. Silence is closing the holes. It is protecting what is inside. It is saying, "This energy is mine." Here comes a strong moment, one that may feel uncomfortable. Many people in your life benefit from your reactions. They get attention. They get validation. They get emotional release. And they get it at your expense. This does not mean they are evil, but it does mean they are not always conscious. And not everyone who wants your reaction wants your happiness. When you stop reacting, something interesting happens. Some people get confused. Some get angry. Some try harder to provoke you. And this is not random. It is because your reactions were feeding something in them. And now that food is gone. This is where we begin to touch something deeper. Manipulation, projection, the unseen games that happen when energy is involved. In the next part, we will talk about why some people need you to react and why your silence changes the entire dynamic. Chapter 3. When you stop reacting, the world around you does not stay the same. This is one of the most important truths to understand. Many people believe that change happens only inside them, but that is not true. When you change your behavior, people respond. When you change your energy, relationships shift. And when you stop reacting the way you always did, some people become uncomfortable, confused, or even angry. To understand why this happens, we need to talk about projection in very simple words. Projection means this: people do not always see you as you truly are. They see you through their needs, their fears, and their expectations. They see a role, not a person. Maybe your role is the listener. Maybe it is the helper. Maybe it is the one who understands everything. Maybe it is the one who always forgives. Over time, People stop seeing your feelings. They only see what you provide. This is why when you stop reacting, they do not ask, "Are you okay?" They ask, "What is wrong with you?" Because you are no longer playing your role. And when a role disappears, people feel lost. They feel uncomfortable. They feel like something was taken away from them. Some people get angry when you stop reacting because your reactions were familiar to them. They knew how to handle you. They knew which words would make you explain. They knew which behavior would make you chase. Your reactions gave them a sense of control. And when that control disappears, fear appears. Anger is often just fear wearing a loud mask. Guilt is one of the strongest tools used to bring you back into your role. When you stop reacting, you may hear phrases like, "You have changed," or "You are cold now," or "You don't care anymore." These words are not always true. They are pressure. They are meant to make you doubt yourself, to make you feel bad for protecting your peace. Guilt works because you are kind, because you care, and because you were taught that putting yourself first is wrong. But here is the truth. Silence breaks manipulation. Not because it hurts the other person, but because it removes their access to your energy. When you do not react, you do not give them the emotional response they expect. And without that response, their strategy fails. They can no longer pull you into arguments. They can no longer feed on your explanations. They can no longer use your emotions to feel powerful. This is why people accuse you of changing. In reality, you did not change who you are. You changed how much access others have to you. And for some people, that feels like betrayal. Not because you hurt them, but because you stopped serving them. Here comes an emotional spike, a realization that can be painful, but also freeing. Some people never loved you. They loved the role you played in their life. They loved how you made them feel. They loved how you listened. They loved how you were always there. And when that role ends, their affection disappears. This hurts, but it also tells the truth. Unavailability exposes others. When you stop reacting, people are forced to face themselves. They cannot blame you anymore. They cannot distract themselves with your emotions. And many people do not like what they see, so they try to pull you back. They provoke you. They criticize you. They create drama. Not because you are wrong, but because your silence reflects something they do not want to see. This is a powerful moment, a moment of empowerment. Because now you understand that silence is not emptiness, it is clarity. It shows you who respects you and who only uses you. It shows you who stays calm and who becomes aggressive. And this information is priceless. But this path is not easy. When you stop reacting, you may feel lonely. You may feel misunderstood. You may question yourself. This is normal. You are breaking an old pattern, and every pattern resists change. So here is the question that leads us forward. What happens after silence? When the noise stops, when the reactions end, when the roles fall away, what remains? What is born when you finally choose yourself? That is where rebirth begins. And that is what we will explore next. Chapter 4. When you finally choose yourself, something quiet but powerful begins to happen. At first, it does not feel strong. It feels strange. It feels empty. When you stop reacting, when you stop explaining, when you stop being available all the time, silence enters your life. And this silence can feel uncomfortable. Your mind may race. You may wonder if you did the right thing. You may feel guilty. You may feel lonely. But stay there. Do not run back to noise, because this silence is not your enemy. It is the beginning of clarity. Silence slowly turns into understanding. Without constant reactions, your mind has space to breathe. You start to see things clearly. You see which conversations were draining you. You see which people only came to you when they needed something. You see how much energy you were giving away without thinking. And this clarity is not loud. It comes gently. It comes in small moments. A calm morning. A peaceful evening. A deep breath that finally feels full. Loneliness is often the next feeling that appears, and many people are afraid of it. But loneliness does not always mean you are alone. Sometimes it means you are no longer surrounded by noise that never cared about you. There is a big difference. When you stop being available to everyone, you may lose some connections. Some messages stop coming. Some invitations disappear. And this can hurt. But in this quiet space, something important happens. You begin to meet yourself. Losing people can feel like failure. But it is not. Sometimes it is proof of growth. When you change, not everyone can follow. Not everyone wants to. And that is okay. You are not meant to carry everyone with you. By letting go of those who only valued your availability, you make room for something deeper. You make room for self-respect. Self-respect grows quietly. It grows when you say no and do not explain. It grows when you choose rest over obligation. It grows when you protect your peace instead of winning an argument. At first, it feels unfamiliar. You may think you are being selfish. But selfishness is taking without care. What you are doing is different. You are learning to care for yourself. As self-respect grows, your reactions change. You become calmer. Not because life is easier, but because you are no longer pulled into everything. You listen more. You observe more. You choose your words carefully. You do not rush to respond. This calm is not weakness. It is stability. It is knowing that not everything deserves your energy. Being selective with your time and energy becomes natural. You start to ask simple questions. Does this conversation bring peace or stress? Does this person respect my boundaries? Does this situation deserve my attention? These questions guide you. You no longer give your energy to everyone. You give it where it matters. And because your energy is no longer scattered, it becomes stronger. This is where true freedom begins. Freedom is not doing everything you want. Freedom is not pleasing everyone. True freedom is choosing yourself without fear. It is knowing that you can walk away from what hurts you. It is knowing that you do not need to explain your worth. It is knowing that your peace matters. Peace becomes your new standard. You no longer chase chaos. You no longer argue to be right. You no longer beg to be understood. You choose calm environments. You choose honest relationships. You choose silence when words would only create pain. And this peace changes how you walk, how you speak, how you live. Here comes a moment of hope. Choosing peace is allowed. You do not need permission. You do not need approval. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to be quiet. You are allowed to change. This realization can feel like a release, a deep breath after years of tension. And here is the strong ending realization. Being unavailable is not rejection. It is self-love. It is saying, I matter too. It is understanding that you cannot pour from an empty cup. It is choosing a life where your energy is respected, starting with you. If you feel this message in your heart, know this. You are not alone. Many people are learning this lesson. Many people are choosing peace over pressure. And you can too. When you fully choose yourself, you begin to see a new world. Silence becomes your teacher, and loneliness transforms into strength. You stop chasing approval and start protecting your energy. Every no you say, every boundary you set, grows your self-respect. Choosing yourself is not selfish. It is the purest form of self-love and freedom.